Did you see the energy?
Thanks to the energy.
Yeah, the best coaches I've worked with in my life.
Good morning. Welcome to the conversation here on TOS TV Network, your digital first Pan-African news network. And guess what? We're reaching you live from Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. I am Adesu LC.
And I am Merciful Ajinamo.
All right, we have quite an interesting lineup for you today. But before we go on, let's bring you the quote of the day. African proverbs are quite, intricate and very interesting. That one says, if you climb up a tree, you must climb down the same tree. I hope you catch it. All right.
I think what was trying to say is, if you don't stand for something, you fall for something also, climbing a tree and coming down the same path.
Okay. There's so many interpretations you can get. I think we have to get like an older African to help us interpret.
To help us interpret.
All right. We're going to go on a break, and when we come back, we'll be taking you through developments across Africa. Welcome back. Now we move straight into development across Africa, beginning from Egypt. Quite an interesting, news there in Egypt. Government employees in Egypt awoke to wage, pension and salary increment. Now, the president of Egypt, Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, has issued directive for the increment in remuneration for all state employees and raised the monthly minimum wage. According to the presidential spokesman, Bassan Radi, the president has ordered the earmarking of EGP 37 billion in the draft budget for 2021-2022 to increase salaries, as well as to raise the minimum wage from 2,000 to 2,400 EGP. LCC issued the directive during a meeting after reviewing the new draft budget for the fiscal year 2021-2022. Finance Minister Mohamed Mahid and Prime Minister Mustafa Maudbouli. Employees covered by the civil service law will get a 7.5% periodical salary bonus, while employees not covered by the law will get one-time bonus that is 13% of their basic salaries. The statement says, during the meeting, the president also instructed the approval of a 13% increase to pensions at a total cost of 31 billion, EGP. State employees who will be relocated to the country's new administrative capital will get financial incentive in the tune of 1.5 billion EGP. Reading that gave me so much joy. Maybe because here in Nigeria we're still talking about, the 30,000 naira minimum wage, and we're still going back and forth with it. And there in Egypt, you're waking up to scaling up.
That's good news.
That's good news.
Across board, anyone that wakes up to that's great news.
Yes, it just goes that I don't know, what had been before, this was implemented, if they've been going back and forth. But to see that this is happening, and I hope they're not just saying it, that it's actually going to be implemented. In Africa, it's one thing to say one thing, and it's another thing to actually, activate it and implement it.
And we're hoping for Nigeria as well to, emulate this and just make sure the minimum wage is cut across all, states and everything, not just some states.
Going up and down with it.
All right, moving on. Gunmen raid killed villagers in reprisal attack in eastern Congo. Armed attackers believed to be members of the Allied Democratic Forces have killed at least a dozen villagers in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The ADF has been a devastating group for decades, killing hundreds of Eastern Congolese people. After a military onslaught in 2019, the group hasn't stopped waging reprisal attacks on innocent locals in villages. Men dangling knives and other weapons attacked Bulongo, a village in eastern Congo, on Sunday night. The dead bodies may also be more than reported, as they were killed recklessly and laid on the ground. On Wednesday, the United States listed the ADF as a foreign terrorist organization after links with ISIS were suggested. The UN has, however, been unable to find links so far. And according to official figures of the UN, at least 850 were killed by the ADF in eastern Congo in 2020. Locals have complained bitterly about the absence of the army, as villagers in Bulongo were asked this is a very touching and sad story.
Very sad. And I like while you were reading that, the only thing on my mind was I hope that one day I come here and there is no news about somebody being killed or abducted or, you know, bandits raid or anything from across Africa. We don't have those, you know, kind of news. Like I just come here and sit here and I don't have to read anything or say anything in line with all of that. That's, you know, I'm looking forward, you know, to
We are
to
looking
that
forward
day.
to it.
Exactly.
I mean, 850 people in 1 year. I mean, that's
terrible.
Humans
that's
we're talking
human
about.
lives, yes. And anyways, let's move over to entertainment. If you've been following, you know, the Nickelodeon Kids Choice Award, well, child comedy star Emanuela emerged winner at the Nickelodeon Kids Choice Award. You know, she popularly known as Emanuela has, by public voting, emerged the winner of the favorite African social media star category at the Nickelodeon Kids Choice Awards 2021. Emanuela was nominated alongside Nigerian comedy group Ikorodu Boys, South African magician Wian van den Berg, Ugandan youth dance group Ghetto Kids, Kenya social media sensation Elsa Majimbo, and South African media personality Bonang Mathiba. From starring in a viral comedy skit, This Is Not My Real Face, so on Mark Angel YouTube channel, brimming with over 6 million subscribers, Emanuela has gone on to win several awards on big stages. At this year's Nickelodeon Kids Choice Awards 2021, she now gets to add a well-deserved orange blip to her growing collection of internationally recognized awards. You know, she really did express her joy at winning that. I'm quite excited for her.
Yeah,
because, you know, I followed Emanuela, like, you know, when she started, like, she was like really little, yeah. And to see her, you know, exceed all of this confidence and interpret all of this, she made all of us laugh, really.
She actually did. Big congratulations to her. Like, this is massive. You know, this is an internationally recognized.
Yeah, but I think she was nominated last year as well, but she didn't win. But she's winning this time. And the other kids at the cast, you know, in that category, I said Bonang Mathiba, of course. Bonang Mathiba is a big, you know, media personality in South Africa, and for her to have win over, you know, Bonang and the Ikorodu Boys,
who have, you know, started. I think they started trending last year.
Yes, and they do big
impressions of movies, trailers, and everything. That's really big for Nigeria.
But for her to have won, that's really great. Congratulations to Emanuela.
I think she's getting old, by the way. Like, I mean,
she's not.
We should not see her as a kid again.
She's great. She's still a kid. She's just growing up.
Okay. Yes. All right. So next on our list is talking about petrol subsidy, and all the governors in Nigeria under the umbrella of the Nigeria Governors Forum will meet on Wednesday to discuss petrol subsidy, that's today, COVID-19 vaccines, and other matters. The governors disclosed this in a statement issued in Abuja on Monday by the head of media and public affairs of NGF Secretariat, Abdulrazak Bello Bakindo. The forum spokesperson said the emergency meeting would be held virtually. Bello Bakindo said that Governor Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State, who is chairman of NGF Committee on Subsidy on Petrol, would brief his colleagues before any decisions on the supply or retailing of the product was taken. He added that various issues revolving around the COVID-19 vaccines rollout would essentially feature in the 2028 teleconference meeting. Governor Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta and Chairman NGF Committee said that the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 would brief his colleagues on the situation with the vaccines rolled out and their attendant encumbrances.
I'm just basically, we're just going to wait to see, you know, the outcome of this meeting before actually, you know, make any comment on it. But it's actually good to see that, you know, they're coming together and they're going to, you know, discuss or, you know, the concern of Nigerians.
Yeah,
especially
the front
price hike. Yeah. And then also, you know, the COVID-19 vaccination, because, you know, like, I think for the last 1 week on the show, we've always talked about how they should, you know, tell us about the safety of the vaccine, you know, all of that stuff, so that Nigerians will be willing. I know that Nigerians who are willing to take the vaccine, as some Nigerians have already taken, but the larger population still has, you know, doubts and all of that stuff. So all of these, I think, are going to be put in place, or are going to be on the table, you know, for discussion, and then just see how to better, you know, improve things, both, you know, from COVID-19 vaccination angle and then the full price hike angle. All right, talking about COVID-19, we're going to go on a break, and in that time, we're going to be bringing you the COVID-19 update from across Africa. Welcome back. That was COVID-19 update from across Africa, as said by African Center for Disease Control Africa, CDC. Now, that as I always say, I won't get tired of telling you to take precautions, and I won't get tired of saying we have to beat or eradicate COVID, even if not eradicate it, just reduce it to barest minimum in 2021. We don't have to worry about COVID next year, because there are a lot of things that we want to get back to, normalize and all of that stuff, and we don't want COVID to be in the way anymore. So please take precautions, and if your country or your state, if you're Nigeria, has already started rolling out vaccines, please get vaccinated so the rest of us can be protected from getting COVID. All right, having said all of that, we're going to go on another break, and when we come back, we're going to be taking you through the Nigerian dailies.
TOS TV Network mobile app is now available. You can now catch up on our breaking news, stream our programs live, watch out for the latest update on sports and politics as they unfold. You can also get notifications for our upcoming programs and events. All these on our TOS TV Network mobile app, available on Apple Store and Google Play Store. TOS TV News from Africa by Africans.
Being a journalist means in-depth analysis that unravels hidden truths, that question the status quo and fact-checks government.
These criminal elements hiding under the cloak of surveillance contractors are the APC elements.
Do you have facts to prove that? Being a journalist means waking up every day with a burning desire for peace, equity, and justice for all citizens.
We're being told that the choice you have is to take the lesser of two evils.
It means patriotism via the prism of objectivity and accountability. It means giving my platform to the masses to discuss issues that matter to them.
Some of them, if they bring budget and the budget they look, some of them sleep. They're going to ask how much you are on. I have it.
Thereby shaping government policies and laws. My name is Osasu Igmeneja, and I am the People's Journalist.
Welcome back, and yes, you can be a part of the conversation. Just follow us across all our social media platforms. It's TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and also check out our website at www.tostvnetwork.com. All right, moving straight into the newspaper headlines for this morning, starting with the Blueprint newspaper. And I'm going to start from the very top, talking about the minimum wage bill. We're ready for nationwide protest, Labour tells Gbajabiamila. And then the rider under that, the first one, Muslim media group backs workers. The second rider, we won't hurt you, Gbajabiamila assures workers. I'm quite interested in that story. If you're like me and interested in that story is on page 6 of the Blueprint newspaper. And now beside that, Zenith Bank rewards shareholders with 94.19 billion naira dividend payout. Under it, USSD, banks, NCC, MNOs agreed to charge customers 6 naira 98 kobo. All right, then there's the very minimal headline there. El-Rufai vows not to negotiate with kidnappers of 39 students. That story is on page 15. Strange disease kills 3 in Kano, 284 others hospitalized. The first rider, index case drank water near cemetery. That's coming from the state government. 3 arrested, 59 million naira flavored drink powder, others confiscated. Greedy businessmen behind our woes. That's coming from a resident of Kano State. That story is on page 6 of the Blueprint newspaper. And then the last headline on this paper says, Benue Deputy Governor doubts safety, efficacy of COVID-19 vaccine. The first rider under that says only those interested will be vaccinated. And no cause for alarm, federal government assures. That story is on page 6 and I think page 16 of the Blueprint newspaper. But before you go into the next one, this, we were talking about, the USSD codes that banks were going to, cut off. And now they're saying they're going to be charging customers 6 naira 98, kobo for that. So every time you try to use the bank short code, you get charged 6 naira for it. Even SMSs cost 4 naira. So
I think personally that's quite, that's plenty.
Yes, it's
and
a lot.
Definitely people actually complain about this.
Yeah.
But like we always say, we're open to, people to share their opinions on the, conversation, tell us what they feel.
Yes.
Because definitely if you're going to be using your USSD is to cut across, those long queues to go to the bank, buy recharge card or anything. But you're in the comfort of your house and, dialing just numbers to make, but now charging 6 naira. That's quite
and there
big.
are times when the codes don't even work, and so you have to try it again. So like every time you try it, you get charged 6 naira. That's a lot.
I think they have to work around something that will be easier for Nigerians.
Exactly.
So we move on to the National Economy newspaper, and we begin from the very top as well. Nigeria's petrol at 163 naira per litre, 7th cheapest globally. Wow. And then we go on to the major headline of the newspaper. Tough economic condition takes toll on Nigerians as inflation hits 4-year high. And just underneath the picture of the day, we see two different stories. CBN NCC approved 6.98 naira per transaction for USSD services that can be found on page 5. And side by side is investment in share can support government's diversification effort, says Senate. That's where it can be found on page 13.
So
and all the stories can be found in National Economy.
So basically, the 6 naira 98 cover has been approved.
It's now a thing.
It's now a thing. Wow, amazing. They didn't consult. Shouldn't they be consulting us for stuff like this?
Before coming out,
like we should be getting our opinion before actually doing that. All right, moving over to the Daily Trust newspaper, starting from the very top. Law permits Adamu to remain IGP till 2024. Buhari, Malami are the ones saying that. Besides that, Zenith Bank pays 94.2 billion naira to shareholders. And the third one is on unemployment. Says Nigeria needs 50 million jobs in 10 years. That's coming from the World Trade Organization. And then the very gaping headline says passengers stranded as Asman Air grounded. Northern roads worst hit. Senate backs NCAA cites safety concern. And due process not followed. That's coming from, I think, the owner of Asman Air. And then just underneath the picture of the day right there, Ayo Adebanjo emerges acting Afenifere leader. And then underneath that, Army recalls 145 soldiers replaced after Boko Haram attacks. And then beside it, EFCC to bankers, declare your assets on June 1st. The last one, man jailed 10 years for raping 5-year-old to death. You see, stories like this make my spirit, my soul boil. I don't want to. Let's just talk about it. Let's just move on.
All right, moving on to the Daily Times newspaper. I'll begin from the very top. FMCA AIPP kickoff capacity building training for media practitioners. And then on to the very gaping headline there. Experts point way out as Nigeria's debt, inflation, unemployment soar. That can be found on page 2 of the Daily Times. And just underneath the picture of the day, we have 3 different stories. The first one is Nigeria's existence. Leaders urge review of Nigeria's 1914 amalgamation. Others seek global help. That can be found on page 2. And side by side with that is bank charges. CBN imposes new charge on bank customers. Of course, is the 6 naira we're talking about. And then just beside that is legislature. 4.3 billion naira vouchers. Senate threatens to issue arrest warrant on Foreign Affairs PAMSEC. That can be found on page 3 of the Daily Times.
All right, the last daily that we're going to be looking at this morning is the Leadership newspaper. And this one, still carries the customer charge. It's replicated across all, national daily. Customer has to pay 6 naira 98 kobo per transaction for USSD services. Underneath that, safety of core members are priority. That's coming from the National Youth Service Corps. And underneath that, Zenith Bank rewards shareholders with 94.19 billion dividend, and PDP to take stand on zoning as committee submits report. And to the very obvious headline there, 17.33% inflation. Experts blame insecurity, rising energy cost. And then the first rider urged government to map out policies to tackle insecurity, supply chain challenges. Federal government services debt with 351 billion naira. And then just beside that, on the issue of, the recently discovered undiagnosed disease in Kano State, says Kano residents want Kunu sellers prosecuted. The rider under that, state government confirms 3 deaths, 284 infections. That is on page 7 of the Leadership newspaper. It's quite sad. When Ebola resurfaced in, I think, DRC, we were worried that it was going to, impact on eradication of COVID-19 or the progress that we've made so far with COVID-19. Nigeria still has cases of COVID-19, and we're just starting to roll out vaccinations. And we're seeing that Kano State has, is saying that we have undiagnosed disease. We don't even know what it is. 3 people already dead. 284 have been infected. It's all crazy in my head. It's like, where are we going to, what impact is this going to have, on the effort that we're making as a country towards eradicating COVID-19? And they don't even know, they haven't traced the source yet. So they don't even know, they don't know what the sickness is, they don't know where it's coming from. We're still having speculations. I do hope that something is done about that.
But the residents in Kano State are asking for Kunu sellers to, be
well, it's speculations, because I think on one of the other daily, they said the first case drank from water close to a cemetery, so they don't know if that's where it came from. And if the residents are saying, okay, probably Kunu sellers are the one doing it, maybe because of what they put it, it's still speculations. They're not quite sure, so they have to do lots of testings and and all of that stuff, and then quick too, because it seems as though it's spreading really fast, because if you have 3 people dead already and 284 is already infected in a few, I think the news broke out 2 days ago or thereabout, and we already have this much infections. Imagine what it would be in 1 week, if we still don't know the root cause, and then, what can we do to actually curb the spread, of the disease. I just hope, something is done about that really quick, because we cannot be advocating for eradication of COVID-19 and we're having to worry about
we're having to fight a different disease.
Exactly. And the healthcare system in Nigeria isn't still very strong enough to be combating a lot of all of that stuff. All right, we're going to go on a break right now, and when we come back, I will be taking you through what's trending on social media. Welcome back. It's still the conversation on TOS TV Network, and you should be a part of the community. Just follow TOS TV Network across all social media platforms. Talking about social media, it's about that time where I bring you or take you through what's happening or what's trending on social media. And guess what has been trending? The LGBTQ hashtag has been trending on social media in the last 24 hours. And guess why that is? So the Catholic Vatican declared that same-sex union is a sin, before God. And quite a number of people have reservations about that. And some of them were quite disappointed that the Vatican said that. And, that has sparked, lots of reactions on social media. I am going to read out a few tweets, to that regard, as always. And then the first one is from OJ Onugwa. So in reaction to this tweet that says, Catholic Church bans LGBTQ plus after Vatican says God can't bless sin. Then in response, he says, I actually don't know my LGBTQ plus take. Offense with this, you can't force them to do what they believe God won't tolerate. If you know better than them, then create your own church, go to court and get married. And then the second one is from SDK Daily. He says, all of a sudden, Christians are surprised that their daddies are saying they should pray against LGBTQ. LOL, that's laughing out loud. As if you people didn't pray over math set and rulers for you to be able to pass the exams. Jokers. I think that one personally. And then this one is from I'd buy your day for you. LGBTQ can never be accepted in Nigeria, Sha. And then this other one at @CAD_official. If homosexuality was that important to God, I guess it have made it to the 10 Commandments. I don't get what the fuss is all about. LGBTQ community should find other legal ways to be married if the church doesn't okay their union. And the last one, I think this one is just replicates the other one I've read out before. But what is your take on all of this? Because I know the reason why people are coming out to say this, because I think some years ago, the Vatican had said they can get married in church. God doesn't discriminate and stuff like that. I don't know if he actually said that, but it was interpreted to have said that. And then so now he's coming to say, look, it's a sin, God doesn't bless sin. And then so the Roman Catholic Church has decided that, look, we're not going to be joining you guys together anymore.
You don't really know what he has passed through, from the time when he made that declaration till now. You don't know the kind of, relationship he's had with God. You don't know the kind of prayers he's made, the revelations that have been made to him. And I think Nigeria as a country, based on their take, we are very spiritual people. We are very religious people.
Yes.
So when we look at things like this, the first thing we consider is our standing in religion.
And then moral standing, because like Nigerians with morals and religion are like that intertwined.
Side by side,
yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
So if it's coming out, he represents the Catholic Church, yeah?
Yes.
So they should respect his
opinion,
decision,
yeah.
his opinion, because it's not just an opinion. Because if he can say this is not it, it is not it across all Catholic churches.
Yes.
Or if there's a different observation to that, I do not know.
Exactly.
I'm not a Catholic, but I think this is it, and they have to just see that this happens. Like someone said, they should find a different way to get married or something legally, so they can do the court wedding and everything. But I'm also very, my attention was drawn to that tweet by Bode or something that says this can never be accepted in Nigeria. We've had these conversations over and over again. I think the last 4 to 5 years, where people say, can this be passed into law? Everybody says no. And then again, I'll reiterate our standing on religion in this country, because from what it has been so far, from our upbringing, the environment, everything we've witnessed so far, this is not normal to us.
It's not just Nigeria. I think across several African countries too. It's not accepted.
But according to some reports, some African countries have accepted.
Yeah, I said across some major African countries. There's some African countries, like in South Africa, they didn't have a problem with it. And I think in there's some other countries in Africa that doesn't have problems with it. But I didn't know that. I think a lot recent. It was 2 weeks ago that they set up shop, I'm going to use your word, they set up shop in Ghana. They set up an office in Ghana for the LGBTQ community, and then the government took it down. It was a problem, and they were like, it's 2021, we should be allowed to do that. And my opinion was, look, if you wanted to do that, you could have looked up for other ways, maybe, start advocating, do all that stuff. And then when it's been allowed, you can go on and set up shop. You can go on and set up shop when it's not allowed. And then they brought it down, you're complaining about it. What were you expecting? Do you understand? True. So I think, some of those, I think 2 persons said on that tweet, look, if the Vatican or the Catholic Church has said, we can't bless you in our church, fine, look for other ways to get married. Maybe go to a country where it's legalized or something. Go to a place where they don't have a problem with joining you together. But don't start bashing the Catholic Church for saying we can't do this here. It is their church. It is their, I don't know what to say, constitution. It is what they want, and then you can't, you don't have a
I'm pretty much, very, very concerned on what had happened before and now, in terms of him coming out to say different things. And people who really want to know what changed, yeah?
Oh,
because
they want to, but I don't think he's going to. So this is just like, let it be and do what is right by you. I think do what is right by you, but do it in a place where it's accepted.
Yeah, legally.
Accepted legally. Don't do it in a place where it's not accepted and then cry out when they try to tell you, look, we can't accept this here. Exactly. I haven't said all of that. We're going to go, on a break, and when we come back, we're going to be bringing you the big story.
Welcome back. It's still the conversation on your digital first Pan-African news network. And of course, it's the time again where we bring to you the crux of the program, the big story. Before we introduce our guest and, continue with the big story, I have a special report, put together by Ife Onyekwere. Please take a listen. When we come back, we'll continue with the big story.
According to a recent report by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, the rate of unemployment rose to 33.3% in 3 months. It is interesting to note that Nigeria has one of the youngest populations in the world, and the latest ranking places the rate of unemployment in Nigeria among 15 to 34-year-olds, which has a value of 42.5%. Of the 5.9 million people who are graduates in the labor market, only 2.8 million of them are fully employed, with 2.4 million of them totally unemployed. What this says about the synergy between the educational system, labor market, and the economy isn't flattering. The question is, how many Nigerians feel the heat of this unemployment? TOS TV took to the street to feel the pulse of unemployment in Nigeria.
Unemployment is a serious problem because, as for me, I graduated since 2005. For like closely to about 20 years now, I don't have a job.
Things are very difficult. See, we are trekking, no money, nothing. We are suffering. We want Nigeria to help us remove from poverty.
Entrepreneurship is introduced in the university so that youth can be able to engage on self-help project before having a white-collar job. But the possibility of government providing those basic social amenities for the people to kickstart what they can be able to do is not in existence. That is the more reason why you can see that, crime is a major problem in Nigeria. It's a result of the unemployment.
No job. We are suffering. Our children that finish school, no work for them. Our husband at home, no work for them. We need help. We are calling for help. Nigeria, come and help.
The problem of unemployment is one of the things that is causing this insecurity.
This issue of unemployment in Nigeria is killing everyone alive. We are just moving, but we are dead because of the rates of unemployment is very bad here in Nigeria. And I will also advise the government to look for an avenue, at least if it is to train some youth, so they can be self-employed for us to tackle this problem. Because we cannot wait for the government alone to give us an employment. But if they can come up with some youth empowerment program, I believe some of the youth can carry on along from there.
The government should just try to look for one or two things to make the youth, at least to empower the youth. So at least the rate of stealing and all of that will reduce in Nigeria.
If you see the rate of those graduates that are coming right now are much more than those ones who are already down, because I have so many friends that right now they are on their youth service, you understand, so expecting to finish and come out and start looking for job also. But the rate of unemployment in this country is really getting on so many people's nerves, and I'm begging the government if they can please do something about it.
The level of unemployment in Nigeria is less enjoyable to consider. Nigerians have lended their voice and asking that skills as entrepreneurship and a call on government to create more jobs for Nigerians is as important as admitting these people into the university. Ifi Onyekuru reporting for TOS TV.
All right, you're welcome back. It's still the big story on your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television, and it's the conversation. Tackling unemployment has been a major issue, and the figures are alarming. Now, the number of persons in the economically active or working age population, that's 15 to 64 years of age, during the reference period of the survey, fourth quarter of 2020, was 122,049,400. This is 4.3% higher than the figure recorded in the second quarter of 2020, which was 116,871,186 people. Now, a total number of 12,160,178 people did not do any work in the last 7 days preceding this survey. Now you can see the rate of unemployment in the country. Now on the show today, to join us with the conversation this morning, is Tochukwu Ifemene, a ghostwriter and strategist. Mr. Tochukwu, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here today.
Pleasure is ours. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr.
Yeah, first of all, what are your reactions to the report released by the NBS on the unemployment rate in the country?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind when I heard that was not that of shock.
Okay.
It was not that of shock because it has already been expected over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Because with the trajectory in which we have been building the country, it's clear that we are still going to have more of that in the years to come if we don't have what I call interventions and immediate strategies. Now, the implication of that is that a dependent population of Nigerians are already being endangered in expressing the fullness of their potential. And that is a threat to the society. By the way, that was the threat that gave back to the Boko Haram, where young men had no jobs and they went into terrorism. That's the threat that has given rise, that is now real, to the concept in Nigeria called Yahoo Boys. That's the threat that has given back to what we see happening in the down Niger Delta and all around the country, where there are just simply no jobs. Okay? So for me, it was not that of shock. It was that of, it was always coming on the way. In fact, the former president, General Obasanjo, had always warned about that. Okay? And it's a trend that we need to nip in the bud. I can also say that the government is actually trying to do something about it in the last few years, by some institutional interventions, something like the NASA, to see how they can inject funding for ideas, for young people especially, or people who have agro ideas to be able to express themselves. But really that is not just enough, because what happens in the world is that it takes the government intervention, especially to create an enabling environment where the wealth will be shared in the country. So for example, in America, the last president, one of the first things he did, which every American will always testify to, was that he ensured that a lot of Americans got employed again, got access to jobs. That was just a policy, and that was just a creation of an enabling environment which made it to flourish. So that I speak to you, if you want to even register your name in CAC, just registering of a name by limited liability. If you are not careful, it may take you over a month plus to have your name registered. But you go to Rwanda and you do these things in 30 minutes. 30 minutes. We call it ease of doing business. So, yeah, it's rising, but we are hoping that in the years to come, it's not that bleak. It will get better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Talking about the years to come, the World Trade Organization, this morning across the daily said Nigeria would need 50 million jobs in 10 years. Do you think we can meet up?
Where can we start? Is that what you said?
Can you hear me? Did you hear my question? I said, talking about, future, what's going to happen in the future. The World Trade Organization said this morning that Nigeria would need 50 million jobs. We need to provide 50 million jobs in the next 10 years. Do you think we can meet up with that?
Yeah, that is the reality. That's what the statistics is telling you. We use combination of street knowledge and empirical knowledge to make deductions on such kind of claims. So when I talk about street knowledge, like the president made a claim 2 years ago of how they will take a certain number of Nigerians out of poverty. Empirically, that sounded nice. But realistically on ground, we are asking, what are the structures? What are the systems? What are the interventions? What are the programs or projects that have been set on ground for that? And between me and you, we know that 1 year has ticked past after that statement was made. If you want to do something in 10 years, you are going to start to see the structures for that. So when I hear that kind of statement of, oh, you need to inject social amount of money for interventions for the number of, let's say, 60% of Nigerians, like you're trying to say, to get that job, that is fantastic. But my question is that what is the infrastructure? What are the frameworks that are put on ground? So for me, what I would rather say is that we need to keep the conversation going, first of all, like what is happening in the media. If you people can keep on heightening that kind of consciousness, that's what I call it. And I like, by the way, what you guys have there called the conversation. It's a conversation that will put pressure on the system so that the government and even the citizens will rise up to that. But you see, I also do not want to sit down also squarely on putting these things on government, even though we know that public wealth is not created. Even private wealth is still at risk, you know. So rather what I would say is that for Nigerians to begin to have a mind shift of what is happening globally. So for example, we have what you call the African Continental Free Trade Agreement.
Yes.
Do you know that around most African countries now, if you go around, what they are talking about, what they are positioning about, what they are already creating industry about, it is for such, where you can take your goods and send around African countries. There are no trade tax, there are no custom duties, or yes, there can be custom duties here and there, but there are a lot of rivers. Now, that is the biggest opportunity that has hit Africa, because that is what has helped the EU countries.
Okay.
But when you come to Nigeria, you are not hearing that kind of conversation. You even talk to institutions or people you think that would have been positioned and ready for it, and it just looks to them like another need. So you know what's going to happen in the next 2-3 years? Nigeria becomes the dumping ground of some of the goods from all African countries. And the question will be asked, what are you going to be exporting now? So first of all,
hello, Mr. Tochukwu, are you still there?
it's a big one that we need to start positioning for. Okay?
Yeah.
We have the NASA grant that a lot of people are picking up. And in the Southeast right now, as I speak to you, but I discovered that even people within this region are not even conscious about it. People are just, you know, like they've not heard about it. And I'm wondering, I say, wow, this is part of the country. Okay? We have grants, we have CBN interventions, and so many things. So one of the things I want to say is that there needs to be a mindset shift of people trying to see how they can access funding, because honestly, you can't do certain kind of businesses if you don't have institutional funding. Gone are the days where you say you want to start scratching or saving, or you want to borrow some kind of money to grow the kind of global businesses that we are talking about. So for me, I think we need to begin to position ourselves for what I call institutional opportunities, you know, for that. And also for the role of cooperatives. You know, one of the things about grant bodies and even any institutional bodies that will help you is that cooperatives never fail. When people come together to say, you know what, this is our idea, this is what we want to do, and want to position ourselves to see how we can maybe attract wealth or leverage on another person's strength. So it's all about synergy. That's what's happening in the world right now. Synergy, partnerships for that. Then the number 3 one that I really see that Nigerians need to awaken onto is what I call opportunities in e-commerce. E-commerce, like we rightly know right now, is the biggest thing in the world, more bigger than oil. So we know that some of the biggest boys in the world are not people who have oil wells. They are people that have applications that are selling globally. They are people that have maybe a payment system that is selling globally. There are people that are transferring goods from one part of the world to another. In fact, the world of e-commerce is almost more real, if I may even put it, even more opportunistic than the world where you have the physical market that you're doing. And yet, our consciousness is still building because we still have a reputation in the world as one of the highest users of the internet and the opportunities in the internet. So for me, I feel those are the kind of positionings that we need to start leveraging on, because those are the things that are going to make us the next global hub. Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Tochukwu, aside, still talking about tackling, you know, unemployment rate in Nigeria, aside all this you've mentioned, some people have argued that the root cause is not unemployment, but underemployment.
Yes.
So do you have a reaction to this? Is this like a contributing factor?
Oh yeah. That particular point is very, very, very sad. That is very sad because underemployment is a failure of state. Permit me if I may use the word. It's a failure of state. It's a failure of state because we've not provided the kind of society where people will be thoroughly tutored to understand globalization, especially.
Okay.
So, for example, in Africa, or let's say Nigeria, we are not positioned for what I call STEM countries. Please, can you hear me?
Yes,
I
we
can
can.
hear you.
Yeah. So, for example, when they're talking about STEM countries, STEM usually refers to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. You discover that in the narrative of STEM countries, if not in some few states like in Lagos, the narrative is even lost for us here in Nigeria. We're having a situation where people are writing both their SST and their JAM, and sometimes even in their tertiary education, and we use what we call so-called wonder centers. People fail mathematics, and you're wondering that why we are having underemployment, and the state is looking away from that. So for me, it's so painful because we are literally now raising another generation of people who are coming into the unemployment market, but they are not. It's not the function of whether they are unemployed. It's the function that we have underemployment because of lack of knowledge sophistication. So they really want to work because they have strength, but in here the brain, there is nothing. Because at the end of the day, the economy we have entered, this is the information, it is about what you bring on the table, what you can invent, what you can innovate. So for me, that is a very painful part because for me, I know that it's a failure of the state, okay? It's a failure of maybe a society breaking down or society norms. But like I always say, it's not really dark as it always claims to be. And that's why we have the conversation going on here to tell people that, look, if we continue like this is going to be the outcome in the future. But if we also continue like this is going to be the impact in the distant future. So there's still hope for that, but that means that there needs to be a lot of consciousness that needs to be heightened for citizens to know that if we continue in this trajectory, it will not take us to our promised land. Thank you.
Okay, before we let you go, so going by what you just said, so is it safe to say there is no employment for skilled labor, but decent employment for, unskilled labor in Nigeria? Is it safe to say that?
Please, can you take your question again? I didn't get you.
I said, going by what you said just now, is it now safe to say that we have unemployment for skilled labor, but we have, decent employment for, for unskilled labor in Nigeria? Is it safe to say that?
Okay, honestly, I didn't hear you well, but I think I can make a deduction from what you're saying. I think your assertion is right, because cheap labor is a function of even maybe personalities who don't know their sense of worth, or people who just are looking for something to have as a daily bread, okay? So for me, the concept of minimum wage is what I keep on telling all employers. I say the Nigerian minimum wage is 30K. When you compare it to what is happening or obtainable everywhere in the world, you will know that that does not even take you anywhere. But at the same time, in this country, as I speak to you this morning, there are jobs that are very highly paid for. But those are jobs that are for highly skilled individuals. Right now, as I speak to you, even this morning, there are people still attracting those kind of jobs, okay? So what we have seen in the country now is that there's a gap, there's a gulf. There's a great trajectory between those who are well-trained, okay, children of the elite, who have gone to some of the best schools in the world, who are now harnessing some of the best jobs also that are available, whether from multinationals or from the central banks of Nigeria or those kind of organizations. Because those who went to some kind of institutions or did not even have access to go to them, what are those guys going to contribute? So I see them a lot in Nigeria, okay? They're the one now doing petty business. They're the one working in some kind of factory. I wonder how people survive with 15,000 naira a month or 20,000 a month after working 30 days, and yet sometimes after.
Hello? Mr. Tachikwe, are you there? I think we lost that call right there. I'm not sure why, but I was quite interested in what he was saying. I really wanted to know, in your opinion, though, what would you say is the most valuable skill in Nigeria at this point?
The most valuable, I think, is especially what we spoke about, the STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, anything revolving around ICT, because we're talking everything now is digitized, yeah? Everything is on the digital space, so anything that has some sort of, connection to technology or science or engineering or mathematics is the next big
How about
thing.
e-commerce?
That's something. I mean, but you said the most valuable in my opinion. Yes, that's something. I was going to ask him, still talking about the unemployment rate and everything, because he spoke about skilled and unskilled labor and everything. I was going to ask him what's his take on the accessibility of these jobs, especially for public sector. People have always spoken about how hard it is, especially in Nigeria, to have on merit get a public sector job, because that's something that I was very keen on, hearing his opinion on. But
all right, we do hope we can, have him some other time, and then
definitely.
we can, elaborate on all of that. But that's too much we can take on the conversation this morning. Thank you so much for joining the show this morning. But don't forget, you can be a part of the conversation and a part of the TOS TV community by following us across all social media platforms, TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and as well as YouTube. We have quite, an amazing lineup of programs there for you, to watch aside from the conversation. And you can also check out our website at www.tostvnetwork.com. I am Adesuwa Osuyi.
And I am Mesafol Ajinmo. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.
Yes.